Hey guys, Got You here, bringing you another Black Ops 3 gameplay. This is a really good game. We were behind the whole time and we played right up until the end and we managed to make a really clutch comeback, and it really stresses that you should play this game into the end. Whether you're losing or you're not, you should really keep trying right up into the end because you never know what can happen, and this is a good example of bringing it right to the wire and then just clutching at the end and gaining control. But anyway, talk about today is the Xbox Live patch that's just come out. Now, you've probably heard me bang on in a few other videos previously about a big patch that we're waiting for. Every time a Call of Duty is released, or any game for that fact, they put it out for a few months, and basically that's kind of like a testing period, and they'll take all this data in of how many people are getting what kills with what guns, from what range, how powerful score streaks are, all these data points that they're taking, and then they basically are just trying to balance the game, so they're nerfing guns that are overpowered, like the Vesper for example, which has nerfed, but I'll get into that later. Or they're buffing weapons that aren't really good. Buffing means make better, nerfing means makes worse. As this is a large pack, this is 7.9 gigabytes. It's a massive patch, partly because it's preloading the DLC for you, which means once you buy the DLC, you can unlock it straight away rather than having to download all 6-7 gigabytes of it. So I'll talk about the most important ones, and then if you go to the bottom description, there'll be a link for all the patch notes right there. But the patch is really huge itself. A lot has changed. A lot of the problems that exist in the game have now been sorted. One in particular I'd like to talk about is the G-slide has been nerfed. If you don't know what the G-slide is is a movement mechanic glitch where if you jump in the air, if you hold B, and as soon as you hit the ground you jump again, you'll slide a considerable distance pretty quickly. You'll probably notice me do it here quite a lot in the gameplay, so I got into the nasty habit of doing it all the time. Once you learn how to do it, it's really hard not to do it. But either way, it was a mechanic that wasn't meant to be in the game, and it messes up with the timing. It means that I can get places that other people have to use overdrive, which is a specialist to use, and that negates the whole point of overdrive, so it has to be got rid of, and it has been got rid of. Okay, now moving on to the more interesting stuff, the specialists, the weapons, and the score streaks, which is the information I know everyone really cares about. So moving swiftly on, to start with the specialist, the Outrider and the Sparrow has increased ability to hit enemies. Sounds pretty obvious to me. You're able to hit enemies easier. I don't know if the auto aim has been tweaked. That's probably the case. Nomad, increased reject stand-up speed. I don't like Nomad, so I mean it's pretty useless anyway, so I guess that makes it a bit more viable, but whatever with that. Increased remaining power when player terminates. I guess that gives you a little bit longer time when you can choose to reject. I'm not too sure. With the Prophet, the Tempest has an increased ability to hit enemies, the same as the Sparrow, so again, presumably there's an auto-aim tweak. The Reaper has equalised footstep audio volume to the same audibility of our specialist. Apparently, Reaper almost had an inbuilt dead silence. And now the last one, Spectre. Reduced leftover specialist power available if the player died while activating the Ripper. When you had the Ripper, it was really overpowered because when you used it and then you died with it, when you came back, you came with a lot of the charge left, and it meant you just keep earning it really quickly. So that's obviously been fixed. Now moving on to what I'm more interested in, it's the guns. So to start with, rapid fire across all guns has been fine-tuned. I'm not really sure what that means. Once I get the patch and play with it, I'll be able to find out more. And now with the submachine guns. In general, reduce sprint outspeed across all platforms, so that means that you're going to be aiming a little bit slower than you were when you're running, so it means that your perk fast hands is going to be even more important. The VMP has a fixed issue where the player would occasionally not show on the radar when firing, which I wasn't even aware about, but good, that's a good thing. And obviously, finally, the Vesper has been nerfed. It has a reduced recoil stability, which means it has a lot more recoil, has a reduced hip fire accuracy, which obviously means firing from the hip it has a lot less ability to hit someone, and it was a real straight shooter before. From the hip you could get them almost across map really easily. And finally, the Weevil, increased medium distance damage range in hardcore mode. Don't really care about hardcore, to be honest with you, but if you're a Weevil fan and a hardcore fan, that's good news for you. Moving on to the shotguns, this is pretty unbelievable, but the Argus has increased lethal damage range. It's already pretty overpowered in terms of its damage range, so I'm not really sure why they've done that, but whatever. The KRM 262, which is the pump action, increased lethal damage range, and that gun needed. That's a really good gun, but it did need to be a little bit more powerful. Now with the LMGs, all LMGs have increased ADS aim stability. That means a lot less sway when you're aiming down sights. With the sniper rifles, the Locust has increased ADS aim stability, the same thing as the LMGs. Increased weapon switch speed, which means you can obviously swap your weapon faster, which is fairly important with the sniper, because it's nice to be able to, if you get hit marker, to whack out your pistol or your submachine gun or whatever you've got in your back pocket to help you out. Lastly, for the weapons, we've got the assault rifles. The ICR has an increased ADS aim stability, increased long range distance damage. That gun really needs both of those two things. The HVK has an increased long range damage, the same as the ICR. Yeah, I completely agree with those. Those two guns can be really good and really fun, but you can't help but feel that once you're shooting people at long range, you're not using an assault rifle anymore. It feels a bit like a submachine gun, and they are assault rifles, so it's good to have that. With the KN-44, increased medium distance damage range. I don't use that, but I'm sure the people that do notice that the medium range is a bit weak, so that's good. Shiva, increased ADS aim stability. I love the Shiva, and it's borderline overpowered, but that's okay. It is a bit too wobbly. Increased long range distance damage. Now that makes the Shiva probably overpowered. Now the XR2, increased ADS aim stability and increased recoil control. They're both pretty good. I agree with all of that. And that's really it for all the guns. So next we move on to the Scorestreaks. Okay, so there's quite a few changes for the Scorestreaks, so I'm going to try and whip through them as quick as I can. Cerberus has basically been completely buffed. Everything about it has been buffed. Has better AI accuracy, damage, targeting speed. The missiles have been made more powerful. The projectile speeds have been made faster. The machine gun is faster. Increased health of the ship that drops it, so people can't shoot it down as easily. The Hellstorm, increased damage radius, which is good because it's good anyway, but the beta Hellstorm was really good and everyone knows it, so it looks like it's probably nearer to what it was. Increased projectile speeds, increased target radius, so yeah, it's basically exactly how it was during the beta. The mothership has increased health. I mean, I don't encounter many of them, so I'm not really bothered. Raps deployed ship has increased health. It need that. I get a lot of raps and people are really starting to shoot down, so you only get one wave of raps rather than the two waves you normally get. The GI unit has increased GI unit dropship flares by 2, so that ability means you have to use even more rockets to take it down. Increased health of dropship, so even after you get through the 2 flares, you've then got to put even more rockets in it. And now the duration is up to 90 seconds, a minute 30. That's a long time to have that big old bitch up there, but whatever. And now the power core. I don't really... Who uses the power core? We don't even care about the power core. Now there's been an awful lot of changes to certain things in the maps of almost every single map in the game. I'm not going to go through every one because there's an awful lot of information here, but basically because this game has wall running and double jumping, it means that you can get into spaces that you never used to be able to get into in boots on the ground Call of Duty, because you can jump up on things and take advantage of invisible ledges or even rooftops that you shouldn't be able to get on, but you can because of the movement system. So it looks like on every single map they've been through a lot of these glitches and they've basically rectified them, which is really good because every Call of Duty and every game for that fact has glitches and problems that people always abuse, so it's never a bad thing getting rid of any of them. That's what most of the rest of the patch really is anything for zombies, campaign, multiplayer, anything that has these little glitches where you can get in out of them, or loading glitches, or screen glitches, anything like that, that's what they've been fixed. There's an awful lot of information here, but the stuff that's really important is what I've just mentioned. The score streaks, the guns, the G-slides are really important to get rid of because it does change the game. And the specialists, so they're really the important ones that you want to care about when you're looking at patch notes. But when you go through the patch notes, there's a lot of stuff that you'll find you won't understand. Just skip through it because it's probably really minuscule and doesn't really matter. There's just the stuff, as I said before, that really is the important stuff. And what I also really want to talk about before I end this video is the game that we're playing. And as I said as I started the video, how important it is to play to the end, especially in Domination, because Domination doesn't have a time limit anymore. So it means that no matter how far you are down, there is a way out of it if you play your cards right. For example, as you can see right now, we're not too far from the end of the game and we're at 154 to 180 and we've been down the whole time, and it wasn't until the second half that we really started gaining some traction. Now if you're playing solo, it makes it really hard to try and coordinate these things, and I'm actually only playing with one other friend chasing shadows, and we're communicating, so that helps out a lot. That means that we can make decisions and tell each other it, and we can play off each other, and then hopefully our other teammates will cotton on. If not, at least there's one other person who is understanding what I understand. So it's getting to a really, really crucial point in the game. We're only 20 points behind them. We're really starting to gain momentum. It's really all about trying to spawn trap them at A, kill them out, push A, and then you want to defend C. So I've just spawned up a C. My teammate chasing is saying, I'm going to take A, I'm going to take A, you defend C. So what I do is I whip around, I make sure they're not pushing middle to B, get a few kills, push right up to the cut-off to the Hellstorm, check no one's pushing A, get instantly killed. That means I've spawned at C again, I'm going to protect C. And now here comes the crucial moment. If you notice on the mini-map, chasing, which is the little navy blue arrow and the other arrows are consolidating around A. So I have to kill this guy on B, make sure he's not on B, He's dead. Now I'm going straight back for C, because they're going to be spawning at C because our teammates are on A. And if I can get these kills in this alley, we're going to win the game. Boom, I get 1. Challenge again, I get 2. I believe I turn around, get a 3rd. There we go. And boom, that's a 3 cap. That holds us long enough to pull up so that once they cap their home flag, we've got that 2 cap and we're going to win the game. And that's a really close game. It's one of the closest games I've had in Black Ops 2. It's only a pub, so it's pretty insignificant, but it just goes to show that you don't give up. You just keep pushing, keep fighting, which should be a philosophy for the game and life. That's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. See you later, guys. Bye.